I recently saw a story on a battle of billboards taking place up in New York City, Times Square. There's been a series of billboards going on for several years in which atheist organizations and Christian organizations have been taking various jabs at one another. The latest one that I've seen an article on is entitled, or it has the sign, "Do we need Christ in Christmas?" And it has a big X on the sign through Christ, and it has at the bottom of the sign, "Nobody," and nobody needs Christ during Christmas. And I saw an exchange of words about this particular sign between an atheist and a Christian, and the focus of the exchange was on the word need. Do we need Christ? And the atheist was trying to make the point that no matter what your feelings are, no matter what your thoughts are, you don't need Christ. You need various other things, perhaps oxygen or perhaps food to eat, but you don't need Christ. And so we can get by just fine without Jesus as long as we have other needs met. And this caused me to think a little bit about the word need and to reflect a little bit on what it would mean to say that we need Christ in Christmas, especially in response to this particular atheist wanting to say, look, you don't need Christ. There's no meaningful sense in which you could say that we need Christ. We need other things. These other things are more important. And so my mind went to the various ways that we use the word need. We might say, and let me give you a series of sentences, and then maybe we can reflect a little bit on how that word need is being used. We could say, for instance, that we need oxygen, or we could say we need friendship. I might say you need friends, or you need family, or I might say you need an education. Someone might say, I need a new iPhone, or I need a new computer. Someone might say, I need a new car. And another person might say, I need Christ. And if we look at these different senses of the word need, and I think we can grant, at least if we set aside the one about Christ for the moment, we could say that in all of those other statements we can imagine a scenario in which someone might say these various things. And I think that the word need in these various different sentences can be understood, really only understood, in relationship to the goal that a person is trying to achieve. So for instance, when I say I need oxygen, when I'm saying that, of course, I mean that in order for my body to continue functioning, I'm going to have an intake of oxygen. Otherwise, I start to have all kinds of problems, functioning as a living organism. So I need oxygen in the sense that in order for my bodily activities to continue functioning as they should, and in order for me to live as a physical being, I have to have oxygen. When I say I need friendship or I need family, that's a little different kind of need. I could continue to breathe without friends or a family. I could continue to take in oxygen and continue to survive without friends or family, perhaps. But there's another sense in which I need family and friends in order for me to live a healthy life. Let's say a small child needs family to love them. You might be able to put them in a room and give them food and water, but in order to flourish and to thrive as a human being, they need family and friends. And so in this case, the goal is not quite so immediate. If there were no friends around me or there were no family members around me right now, I wouldn't have the same kind of physical crisis that I might have in the case of the absence of oxygen. If I don't have oxygen, I'm going to begin to have trouble pretty quickly. There could be no family and friends around me, and I could still exist so far as my bodily activity is concerned. However, even though the bodily functions are still happening and the activity of the body and the taking in of energy is still going on, there's another level, there's a deeper level on which I need friends. I need people to love me, and I need people to love. I need people to care for me. All of this is important for our peace of mind. It's important for our development as human beings. It's important for our development of culture, our development of knowledge, and so on. When I say the other things here, and I don't want to go through all of these, but when I say, if someone says I need an iPhone, what they probably mean by that is not that I need it in order to exist or I need it in order to survive. Obviously, we don't need it for that. But they need it in view of certain activities that they want to carry on. Like, for instance, they need it in order to be able to keep the kind of communications going or have access to the kind of information that they want to have. Obviously, they don't need it on the same level that friendship is needed or on the same level that oxygen is needed, but there's a sense in which you can talk about it as a need. Now, if we continue to press on and look at what it would mean to say that I need Christ, what do we mean by that? Let me use an illustration that I probably used somewhere else on one of the other videos that I've made. But let me offer an illustration. If I were to say, jump to the moon, and you wanted to jump to the moon, and so you start jumping up and down, or you want to touch the moon, obviously you're not going to get there. You're not capable of touching the moon because you lack the physical strength or the wherewithal to jump up and touch the moon. Now, if we think about our own desires as human beings, I would suggest, or I would offer the thought, that all of us are longing for something deep down inside. We're longing for love, we're longing to be loved, and we're longing to love another. This seems to be the sort of deepest level on which human beings operate, that we want to exist in interpersonal relationships of love and friendship, and we want this to last forever. We find when we go to, during Valentine's Day season, I often will go and look for a card for my wife, and I look through the cards and I find it'll say things like, to my sweetheart, I will love you with all of my heart forever. They always seem to have this desire for eternity, or this desire for unending love, in contrast to temporary concerns or temporary needs. It seems like we as human beings have this longing for the infinite or for the eternal. We want unending friendship and love in our lives. And so I would suggest that that is a true need of human beings, in the sense that it's something that we long for deep down inside. It's something that gives to us a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. And it's something that when we find deep and abiding love and friendship, it's something that gives to us a deeper quality of life and fulfillment. Now, the Christian story of Christmas and its meaning is that the God of all the universe, the infinite good, the one who cares most deeply about us, who sustains us in existence every moment, that God chose to come near to us in Jesus, so that by coming near to us, he can sort of grab hold to us and lift us up to everlasting happiness and fulfillment and friendship. The kind of love and the kind of friendship that will satisfy the deepest longings that we have as human beings. Now, obviously, the atheist rejects this, but I do think that as a Christian, when I look at the story of Christmas, and when I look at what it means to say that Christ is God with us, God taking on our humanity, so that through taking on our humanity, he can become truly our supreme friend and our supreme lover, the one who loves us most and who draws us up into friendship with himself and then invites us into this unending relationship with God. The atheist listens to that, of course, and says, that makes no sense, or I don't believe that. But the Christian listens to that and says, I need that. I need that experience of God and that friendship with God. I need that story of Christ, who is God's love embodied and come to be with us and to dwell with us. I need that because without it, I couldn't be assured of, and I wouldn't know that God wants to invite human beings into this kind of relationship with himself. In other words, for a Christian, the story of Christmas is the way that we have confidence and the way that we know that God cares about our humanity and wants us to be drawn up together with him and wants us to be in friendship with himself. So when I look at the story of Christmas and I look at the meaning of it, I see in it something that I need. Not like I need oxygen in order to have physical existence right here and now. I don't need Christ in that sense. But I do need Christ on the deepest level, on the most profound level, that the reason why I want to keep breathing in the highest way, there's obviously other things that I enjoy as a human being and that I want as a human being, but the ultimate reason why I want to continue breathing is because it allows me, each moment of life allows me the opportunity to grow ever more deeply in relationship to God and in relationship with those around me. And Christmas is the ultimate assurance that God has come near to our human nature and he has invited us into a meaningful relationship with himself. In other words, Christmas is what, from a Christian theological perspective, Christmas is what assures me that the God who made us and the God of all eternity truly cares about us and is truly drawn close to us. And so for us, we can say, I need Christmas, and I need Christ in Christmas, because it is Christ who gives meaning to me in the most profound and fullest ways. Not like oxygen, and not like an iPhone, and not like even earthly friendships. I need Christ in the most supreme way, in the deepest and most important way, because he gives to me that kind of fulfillment and meaning. Again, I understand the atheist does not agree with this, and the atheist does not accept that, but I just invite the atheist to think outside of their own perspective and see why this is so deep and meaningful to Christians. So that the sign up in Times Square that says, we don't need Christ in Christmas, or nobody needs Christ in Christmas, well, they can speak for themselves. The atheist can talk for himself. But for me as a Christian, and for so many Christians, I need Christ in Christmas because he is the one, and it is the story of Christmas that invites me into this kind of meaningful relationship with God that convinces me on the very deepest level of God's love for us. And therefore, I invite you during this Christmas season, or this Advent season leading up to Christmas and the celebration of Christmas, to think a little bit and reflect, especially for those who are Christians, to reflect a little bit about what we really need in the highest way and the most profound way. And hopefully that will lead us to answer in a resounding way to the atheist challenge: who needs Christ in Christmas? We do. We deeply need him. And he brings the greatest meaning and joy to us.